Welcome to the Author's Edge. I am your host, Allison Lane, and I'm telling you, I'm a longtime marketer, lifelong publicist, and I always have had this skill to see the strength, the kernel of awesomeness in everyone. And I think as a kid who was an introvert, who had a lot of trauma, I stood on the periphery and I watched a lot of things. And it's my joy to help all of you see the strength and the wisdom and the awesomeness in yourself that I see and my guests see. If you're struggling with how am I going to package what I know or how to position myself and you want to work with me directly, I'm at lanelit.com or send me a note, Allison at lanelit.com. This is not hard. I am here for you. Now let's get to the podcast. This week's focus is on you telling your story so that you can position yourself as the answer to someone's problems. And when I thought about who I needed to have on, only one name came to mind because it takes a certain type of clarity to get to the few words that can capture the transformation that you can make in the world. And for that reason, Kris Jones is joining us from Red Door Designs. She's a story brand certified guide. That means she's an expert copywriter in helping people define and communicate the benefit that they put into the world, the value that other people get. So it's not, I need to build my personal brand and I am an expert copywriter. It's, I, Allison, help women get book deals and launch their books with success. Did you hear me say I'm an expert marketer? No, because it doesn't matter. I could be a juggler and it doesn't matter. The end result is what matters. And Kris is the jam about doing this. And she's going to share her wisdom with us today. So welcome, Kris Jones. Thank you for being here, Kris Jones, famed story brand certified guide, expert copywriter. And just to let everyone know, we became friends because I reached out to you because I heard you on a podcast.
Because you stalked me.
In a nice way, I reached out to you through your website as a cold call and said, I really like what you are putting out there. And I'm picking it up, what you're laying down, and I think we should be friends.
And here we are. Yeah, clearly there was something about you that I realized this is not my typical cold email. I
That
wanted
this
to be
woman
friends
is
with you
not
too.
the norm. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Right. People need to know what you know, not just because we hear copywriter and nobody really knows, like, how does that apply to me? But I think you have such a way of helping authors, particularly because that's who I work with, discover how to position what they do and what the result that other people get from what they do.
Right.
And that way they can stop describing themselves as, I'm a writer. Like, bruh, no,
Right.
everyone's a writer or
Yeah.
everyone's a psychologist. We don't want to know your job title. So let's just start off with like this. What is the biggest mistake that authors and aspiring authors are making when it comes to building or establishing themselves as a leading voice?
That's such a good question. I mean, very clearly, the biggest mistake is that they haven't taken the 20 minutes that it takes, maybe 30 tops, to just plan what they're going to say when somebody asks, what do you do? What are you working on? What's the book about? And what happens is, we're excited about our book project. We want to talk about it. But then when somebody asks about it, number one, we cringe. Number two, we freeze. Number three, we spit out a 2-word answer. Number four, we spit out an 80-word answer and we lose them completely. And so I think just a little bit, let me put it this way. When somebody is able to answer that question in a very concise way, it's not because they're smarter or that they're better at winging it. It's because they've taken 20 minutes to plan how they're going to answer that question. They've printed it out and they've memorized it. And then it's kind of become part of their cellular memory so they don't have to stress anytime they get that question. Because let me tell you, whether you're writing a book or you've just launched a book or you have a book under your belt, you're going to get that question a bajillion times. So you might as well get excited when you get that question because you know exactly how to answer it.
So well put. Because everyone gets asked, "What are you writing?" And what they launch into the plot of the book, "Well, I'm really writing about," and it's like they're trying to brainstorm it right there because you can tell because they're looking at the sky and like in hopes that it's like a bird will bring them like a
A messenger.
yes, just a messenger bird of like,
A
"Here you go.
scroll.
It's gonna drop right here, girl."
In
And
their little
what are you writing?
island.
We don't want to know really what you're writing because the question that it's up to us to do the like literary limbo, the mental gymnastics to translate what are you writing is how will I benefit from what you're doing?
Why does it matter to me? That's what our brains are constantly scanning our environment every day, every day. How am I going to survive? How am I going to thrive? How can I conserve brain calories? Thinking and figuring things out requires a lot of brain calories to be burned, and our brains don't like to exert energy. And so when we're able to spoon feed these answers to people, our brains just soak it up because we're like, number one, I get it, right? You don't lose
Yeah.
people. They're like, I get it. I'm tracking, I'm absorbing what you're saying, I'm picking up what you're putting down. And number two, it's relatable. I can understand why does that matter to me? Or why would that matter to maybe not me personally, but my partner or somebody that I love?
Right. And so then when you know that that's the mistake, then what should people be doing in order to be prepare for that? It's the first question you get as soon as you
Right.
want to hire a social media manager. They say what your profile needs
Right. Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
You can't just say mom and coffee lover. Thank you for that.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's very meta because we're talking about authors who have written a book or are writing a book. And what I'm suggesting people do is tell the shortest story you've ever told about your book, about what your book is about. And the way you tell the shortest story ever told, it can be 2 sentences long at the most. Every story, and you probably know this as an author already, but every story, every movie, every book begins with a hero that has a problem they don't know how to solve. They are out and about, they're looking for a guide, whether that be a book or a coach, or they're looking for a guide who can help them solve this problem and overcome it so they can ultimately experience success. And that is the formula for literally every story. And that can be a 300-page book all about that. And you go in deep into that journey and all those details. And of course, there's more to it, but fundamentally, those are the core components. And you can also follow that same formula when you answer that question. What are you working on? What's your book about? What do you do? Where you always begin with the hero's problem. What's the problem that's happening that you're solving by writing this book? And what is the benefit that readers are going to experience because of reading the book? So it's literally that simple. I mean, it just doesn't have to be that hard. It just doesn't. And it shouldn't be.
but it
Yeah.
is hard because it's not hard for you because you do this, but it is hard because usually aspiring writers have a full-time gig doing anything else. They are urban designers or librarians or teachers or psychotherapists or students. They don't do this. They're used to having a conversation, but not marketing themselves. And that's the big change now, right? Is that you're expected to not just say, here's the plot of what I'm writing about, but
Yeah.
here's how it matters, right? Because no one's going to do that for you.
Yeah.
What is the biggest change you've seen recently about branding or landing this one or two liner? Are there changes? Hopefully.
Yeah. Not really. I think ultimately, like, the fundamentals of story never change, number one. And the core problem that I solve as a business owner, it really doesn't change because the problem is we're so close to our own work and we're so close to our own selves. It's like we're inside of a bottle trying to read a label that can only be read from outside of the bottle. And so that is the core problem, that whether you're an author or you're a business owner, whatever you're trying to write about, when you're just so close to it, it feels really, really hard. It really does. And so I can come in and I can read the label of your bottle and really help you have clarity about it. That being said, I have a free tool. I think the reason why this feels so hard for people, number one, they're trying to do it themselves, which it's always going to be harder when you try and do it for yourself. It doesn't mean it's impossible, it's just hard. Number two, when you're trying to write for yourself about your own work, you pull up a blank Google Doc and it's daunting. You don't know where to begin. And so I have a resource that's free. It's a 5-minute video. I'm holding your hand through it so you don't feel like you're alone. And then there's a worksheet there that allows you to get all those brilliant ideas out of your head and onto paper and organize them into 2 simple sentences.
Thank heavens for that.
Yeah,
I love that tool.
yeah, it's really
So,
helpful.
so helpful. And this
Mm,
is from me who knows you and can text you at any time and say, I need a message, Zhuzh, please. But I still use that tool. So the thing is, I think too, the expectation that whatever your statement is, whether it's in your author bio or on your website or on your socials, that we need to be knowledgeable enough that those same 12 or 13 words show up in all the places.
mm, yeah,
Even, in your LinkedIn title, where
yeah,
I still see a lot of people saying like senior manager, like, no, nobody cares. And nobody's noticing when you go from senior manager to super senior manager or assistant professor
yeah,
to tenured professor. Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah. LinkedIn is such a ripe opportunity to zhuzh up your profile and really stand out because just like websites, so many people are doing it wrong or doing it in a very bland, boring way. And, with 30 minutes in Canva and a little bit of time into your message, you're going to really stand out on LinkedIn and it will give you a return on the investment for sure.
yes. And
Yeah.
it'll help you decide who you are today.
Yeah.
And then you can delete all the skills that you accrued 17 years ago.
Right. Right. The other really cool thing about doing this foundational work around your messaging, and you touched on it a moment ago, is you do it once and then it's like the lazy woman's marketing. Like you do it once and then you copy and paste it on your
Mhm.
LinkedIn, in your email signature, on your website, in verbally when you're talking to people, you just use it over and over and over again because it's so clear and it's so compelling and people can very easily understand it and it gives you way more confidence. But it also is way less time than trying to generate new answers and new content and new social media every day. It's that hamster wheel that I'm on a mission to really help people get off of the hamster wheel and do the work that you really love and don't feel like you have a constant homework assignment hanging over your head.
Yes. Yeah. So, so smart. And I would say one of the benefits that I learned from you, that as an expert marketer, for yourself, but you still hang on to your favorites. Like, well, I love to describe myself this way and this way. No, you get one. And
Yeah.
then everything else can go in a file that you don't look at anymore,
Yeah.
because rewording yourself is just muddies the waters.
It does. It kind of degrades the message over time, and you kinda lose whatever that initial spark or strategy was, and I think the beauty of working with a partner or hiring somebody to come in and help you is even if you have good copy, sometimes you just need someone to go, "This is right. This is right. Don't stop rethinking this. Stop reworking this. This is right." And I think that happens even in like interior design. Sometimes you just need an interior designer to come in and be like, "Yeah, that's a terrible chair." Or this art here is really working. But not knowing is
Right,
it
if you
takes
don't
up
know
a
what
lot
an
of
A
mental
plus is,
energy.
it's
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to have someone say, "Door A."
Yes. Totally. Yeah.
You know, that's the shade that you need to go with. Yeah.
Right. Right. And here's why door A is the right choice. And here's why I wouldn't recommend this other option.
Mhm.
So you understand. I mean, the idea is like you want great copy, but you also want to know the strategy behind why this is working. And it's an art form, but there's such a science behind it, and there's such strategy behind why copy works. And it's really helpful when we know the why behind it.
Yeah. Chris, what is a common myth that people believe about nailing their personal brand statement that they need to rethink?
Mm. Well, the thing that comes to mind is I hear this a lot. And what I hear is, I don't have a story. My story is boring. It just, other people have good stories, but I don't. And that goes for your brand statement or your story or whatever. Like mine's boring. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a compelling brand statement. And it's my job to really pull it out of you. I know the questions to ask to really pull out your most compelling story, your most compelling brand statement, and put it together in a way that helps you stand out and really differentiates you from everyone else in your industry, which is the hardest part. And also helps you become more memorable. And that's like the other hurdle that we all face is how can we be remembered? How can we be top of mind when people have this problem? So everybody has a story. Everybody has a compelling story and an interesting story. And that's what I want people to really know.
Yeah. So, listener, I know you're driving around in your car and you're thinking, I'm in the CVS prescription line and I'm listening to that, and I've got a lot of things and I believe her. But by the time I sit down and I think about developing a brand statement for the work that I'm doing, or I'm finally leaving the university and want to become a speaker, but now I have to build a website, you do need that statement and you do have a story. And it's not, I am a former professor who taught 20th century literature to wherever. I mean, that's not it. And you can use Chris's tool and it'll be so much easier. But Chris, we're always learning based on what has worked. But what is a tactic that has been popular that's no longer really useful or working in 2025?
Well, I think there's a lot of like what I call bro marketing scarcity tactics that were used a lot. And I think everyone is just fed up with that. Like the timers, they got to check out. This is your only chance to do this. And in marketing in general, I'm not a fan of scarcity tactics. They're still used quite a bit. And I would say, they're often effective, which is why they're used, but what a terrible way to start out a relationship with somebody, or to get a new student or a new buyer, to pressure them into it and make them feel like they have to do it now or it's never gonna be an option again. I think that that's one thing that I just think is, like, played. And then the other thing that I think is people get confused about is like the difference between the narrative that you're telling about your business or your book and how to really tell a story about that so people want to read it or they want to publish it or just to get people on board with it. That story that I'm talking about is really a narrative that it's about you inviting your potential hero into a story with you where they can envision themselves as the hero and they envision you as their guide. The guide is the strongest character in every story. So that's the type of story I'm talking about. And there's some confusion around like what I call the founder's story. And this is really how your background, your professional background, how you got to where you are, and all of that good stuff. That story is more for you than it is for anybody else. I'm not saying that you shouldn't write your founder's story, but if you want to write a story that will get you a return on investment, that will help build your career professionally, I'm talking about this type of narrative that's different from a founder's story. So the other third tier of that question is really making yourself the hero of your own story. You're the Yoda, you're not Luke Skywalker. Yoda is the strongest character in the story. There's only room for one hero in every story. And so when we make ourselves the hero of our own story, number one, we're painting ourselves as a weak character. Number two, we're kicking our potential reader, our potential client out of this story with us. So they literally can't engage. And you've probably experienced this subconsciously, not really realizing it when you went to a website and you're like, huh, okay, yeah, she's cool. She seems smart and nice, but I'm going to keep looking. And the reason you bounced from that website is because they were likely making themselves the hero of their own story and you didn't feel a connection. When you're the hero of their story and they're the guide, there's this beautiful connection that begins to build and trust begins to build. And you all of a sudden really can envision yourself working with this person or reading their book or however they want you to engage. And then you're motivated to take that next step, whether it's buy the book or whatever else that you want them to do. A lot of authors want people to read their book because they have a story to tell and they want to help people and they know that their story can impact readers. But what happens is they don't really think beyond that. And the book is really a vehicle, of course, to help people. But then after they read your book, they're like, I know her. I like her. I trust her. I want more from her. I want to work with her. I want her to coach me or I want her to help me overcome my version of this problem. And so it's absolutely essential that you have some forethought around that and that you build, even if it's a one-page website, that you build a site that you can guide people to in the book. A website address in the book will change the trajectory of your career. It will make you a lot of money, most likely. And then people can go to your website and get a feel for how you want to show up for your clients. Do you want to create a group program? Do you want to just do one-on-one coaching calls with readers? How do you want to help them? That's kind of up to you, but it's kind of a shame if you're going to go to all the effort to write this book and not then continue to hold the hand of the person who's read it and give them more of what they're looking for, which is more of you.
When your website is written in a certain way, it could be powerful, but it repels people when we see language that is like any one of these things. I'm on a mission to. Woof. Are you doing it or are you on a mission? Enjoy your mission. You've provided me no confidence that you're actually doing the thing. You're just giving it the old college try. My purpose is that's super, but are you doing it or are you still trying? Or that's why I established this effort. Like, great, but I want you to skip ahead. But when you confirm for people that you're just still trying and you're even spelling it out for them, I'm trying to do this. Well, are you doing it? No? Great. Click to the next one. So don't do that. state your strengths. Kris, do you have any? I'm sure you see a lot of those types of phrasings.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just human nature. We wanna be humble, we wanna be modest, but ultimately, we're insecure often, and we use language that diminishes ourselves, and I think that you don't have to wait to feel confident in order to change that. You have to actually change that by having the words and having a plan and knowing exactly what to say because you've planned it and you've memorized it, and it doesn't mean you're gonna sound like a robot, right? That's what we're afraid of. We're like, "We just wanna be authentic and organic," but those authentic and organic people have planned what they're gonna say, and then as you memorize it, you can tweak it or make it kinda tweak it a little bit when it comes out, depending on the situation, but the confidence comes from really taking the time to know how you're gonna answer these questions that usually make you cringe or usually make you feel uncomfortable or you find yourself diminishing yourself. It's not okay. Don't do it.
And if you do diminish yourself, people believe you.
Yes. Yes.
And I know you don't want that. So
That's
don't do it. All
not
right. That
true.
was our PSA. That was our kick in the tuchus for you're a big effing deal. Accept it. You're not trying to do it. You are doing it.
Right.
We believe in you. I want to say something because you have inspired me. And I was talking to a group of clients just yesterday, and I actually cursed, which I never ever do in my group. I mean, I do like a well placed curse word. But, here's the thing about aspiring authors, these are often experts in their field, and they're just hoping that their debut book is that people buy it. And my view is I can always see that, of course, people are going to buy it. This thing is going to take off. We need to prepare for the success that I know is going to come. And they have a hard time seeing past, but I just want the book to be a success. But your book is the product and you are the brand. So you've got to trust me when I say this is going to blow up and we need to prepare, and that people might not want to buy your $27 book. They might want to buy your $2,700 personal coaching program. And which one do you want?
Right.
Let's assume a yes
Yeah.
and assume the positive, because I have seen this happen for every one of my clients
Huh.
has another door open that they are flabbergasted that
Mhm.
opens,
Mhm.
but
Right.
it does happen.
Right.
People will want to come to your site and they will want to engage. They will want to sign up for emails. No, do not make them send you an email like, contact me. Let me know what you want. Nobody wants that.
And don't create a general newsletter also.
Oh, God. We've
Give
got to
them
do,
give
yes,
them something truly helpful and really valuable,
yes.
and just start there. The other thing is, like, if you don't wanna become a coach or consult or whatever, people are gonna want you to come and speak. So, charge $5,000 for every speaking gig that you do.
If you don't create something in advance, people will want to pick your brain,
Mhm.
and picking your brain costs money because it's your time and those people are not your friends. They're not like, well, I pick my brain too. That's different. They're going to want to pick your brain no matter what. So prepare for that, and prepare for the fact that they want to know the bigger picture of what you do for them, not just I've written this one book.
Yeah,
Because
and you don't have to figure it all out right now. Have your website built. Have one thing that would be fun for you, and it might just be a 30-minute or a 1-hour discovery call, and maybe that's paid. And then once you talk to a couple dozen people, it's going to be clear to you what they're really craving, what they're really needing, and then you can design your service around that. And that's another way to go. Just lay the groundwork. You don't have to figure out everything ahead of time, but be prepared as you can, and then
yeah,
follow those breadcrumbs.
yeah. Kris, let's do a pivot to a book you are excited to read? What's a book that's on your to be read list?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna laugh, but my friend loaned me The Red Tent. I I have not read it yet.
It's really good.
I know. It's like it's there. It's waiting for me. Donald Miller just came out with Story Brand 2.0. I have not read it yet, but it's literally on my nightstand, and I can't wait to read it because he wrote it. He came out with Story Brand 7 years ago, and a lot has changed. A lot has changed in 7 years, so I'm ready to dive into that, and I have the hard copy right there on my nightstand.
Well,
Um
we will put both of those books in the show notes, links to them so that people can easy access. One of the easy things that we do on this podcast is curate people's to be read lists
Yeah.
because it's so much easier to get a recommendation than it is to go scroll through the Barnes& and Noble website or go to your indie bookstore and look at on the shelves like, what do we really want?
Yeah.
Just tell me.
Yeah.
That's why I recently now, if anyone's following me on social, I have a weekly, here's books I loved this week.
Mm.
3 books. I do read more than 3 books a week because I'm insane. And my mom taught me to speed read when I was 4. So
Whoa. Oh
bless
my
her
god.
heart. I know. I know.
Wow. I do have another book recommendation.
Ooh, gimme, gimme.
From Click to Client by Kris Jones.
Really?
Yes.
Jones.
Yeah. reddoordesigns.com/book. You can go there and get that. And then I also just came out with a private podcast you can sign up for that really delves deeper into everything we talked about today. And that can be found at reddoordesigns.com/profit-stories.
Well, thank you for that. Before we call this podcast complete, what's one thing you want to leave people with today?
Ooh, gosh. Have fun doing this. Enjoy it. Like, follow the things and do the things that you really enjoy and lean into that because when we're doing our own thing and we're paving our own way, we can feel like we have to do everything and wear all the hats, and you just don't. You are totally in control and follow the things that compel you.
Exactly. I love it. Thank you so much, Kris. This is great. And for anyone who wants to connect with you at reddoordesigns.com, we'll have all the links that we talked about in the show notes. Thank you for sharing your genius and your kindness with everyone who has such a story to tell, such a message to share. And it only becomes wisdom when you share your knowledge.
People need to hear your story, and it deserves to be told, and it deserves to be heard.
Well, slam dunk. What a mic drop moment. Like, how? Yeah.